very important living objects in the lives of human beings. Trees provide benefits such as improving the climate, regulating the water capacity in streams and rivers, conserving and protecting soil cover, and providing stable habitats for wildlife. When it comes to social benefits, forests and trees are the backbone of the market. First and foremost, without the water the trees attract, human beings cannot work. This is because they require at least 2 liters of water every day. On the side of economics, trees are the backbone of many activities. From trees we get timber, building poles, vines, and plywood. In Kenya, the forest cover is about 7% of the total landmass. This translates to 200 million hectares, which provide the bulk of wood demand for domestic and commercial needs. Welcome to Climate Smart Agriculture. On this episode, we are all about forest gardens. A forest garden is a designed agronomic system based on trees, shrubs, and perennial plants. These are mixed in such a way as to mimic the structure of a natural forest, the most stable and sustainable type of ecosystem in this climate. In the heart of Githunguri sub-county, we find Warohio Farm Agricultural Training Center. Apart from being a farm, it also doubles up as an agricultural training center that trains an average of 1,800 farmers every year with information and practical skills on farming. Saturday morning, Warohio Farm is busy with activities, all thanks to Trees for the Future. Being in existence for over 30 years, Trees for the Future is a non-profit organization that has planted an average of 250 million trees, restored 58,000 hectares, and changed the lives of 3,000 farmers. One of such occasions is today's. Farmers are flooding in numbers, from the young to the elderly, all in pursuit of gaining new skill on forest gardening. From one farming activity to the other, farmers gather around to be taught. The trainers are also fully equipped to teach them. A classroom it is. With the new emerging trends in agriculture, terms like agroecology, organic farming, sustainable farming, and now forest gardening carry almost similar meanings with a very thin line to it. So what exactly is forest gardening?
We have a show. Specifically for us, we have a forest garden show whereby we teach farmers how to incorporate agroforestry, that is planting trees together with growing crops.
A forest garden has trees all around. At Warohio Farm, there are various crops such as indigenous vegetables, fodders, pumpkins, amongst others. As the experts explain, farmers are taking notes as they withstand the scorching sun. This is a Zaipit. Carol is a vibrant young agribusiness mind. We meet her explaining how to check if the land is leveled.
So that is an A-frame, and an A-frame is used to dig terraces and trenches in the garden because our lands are not level, and when the lands are slopy, we want to plant things in those slopes that can actually hold the soils, and farmers are able to collect the runoff water in their garden.
Effective land leveling reduces the work in crop establishment and crop management and increases the yield and quality. Land leveling increases yield to a large extent because it improves weed control. Improved water coverage from better land leveling reduces weeds by up to 40%. This is a complete Zaipit. It is recommended to have the Zaipit for 1.5 to 2 feet, with length of 1 meter and desired width. What is a Zaipit, you may ask? A Zaipit is a small ditch in which seeds of annual crops are planted. They are beneficial for improving soil fertility almost immediately. This is done as they increase termite activity, hence leading to high water infiltration when it rains. Zai pits are suitable on a flat or slopey land. Carol now takes us through the process of creating one.
We need to dig the trenches. We separate the topsoil and the subsoil. So the topsoil, we put it in one corner, and the subsoil, we put it in the other corner. And then we level the ground. And then after leveling the ground, you take the newspapers, the leftover newspapers, the calendars, and then place them well on the trench. And then take dry leaves, wet leaves, and then place them well. And then you suppress them with your feet. After you've suppressed them, you take the subsoil, part of the subsoil, and return it to the trench itself, and then you level it. After leveling it, you take some dry leaves and wet leaves and place them again, and the remaining subsoil, you return it in the trench. After that, you take dry leaves or wet leaves again, and then you place them again, leveling them properly well, and then you take a piece of the topsoil and then place it on top of those dry leaves or the wet leaves, and then take manure. And if you don't have manure, you can actually use compost, and then you place it very well on top of the topsoil. And then on top of that topsoil, you take charcoal dust, you take ashes, and then you take eggshells, and then you take the subsoil, the topsoil again, and then place it well. And then on top of that topsoil, you take dry leaves or wet leaves, and then you place them up as the mulch. Then you pour water uniformly around the trench, and after that you take a piece of stick, and then that piece of stick you actually place it at the middle of the trench. So what's the importance of this stick? It's to measure the temperatures of the trench, because you can't plant anything on that trench immediately because there's so much heat in it. So you have to wait for 1 to 2 weeks for the level of heat to suppress. And then you come and then you plant on that trench.
Next to the Zai pit is the vertical garden. Living in an era where population pressure carries the day, urban farming is conducive as it requires a limited space of land. With the effects of climate change, it is necessary to have dry food crops that can be stored and eaten on a rainy day. Yes, you can also have beans in your forest garden. The increasing price tags of fertilizer makes it necessary for farmers to seek alternative options, one of them being making a compost pit.
Trees play a large role in our environment. They conserve environment. They make our soils. For example, we've been farming since back then, so our soil have somehow deteriorated in how they used to give us yields back then. So trees, the roots make the soil. The leaves, when they fall, they decompose, they act as compost to the soil. Trees also bring about rainfall. They make the rain to come. Trees, in short, trees is everything. In our forest garden, we try to solve 3 issues, that is hunger, poverty, and soils. For the vertical gardens, it basically comes in hunger. Generally for it, the climate has changed. So for the vertical garden, it is a small garden. If the farmer has less water in the farm, he or she can be able to make use of the vertical garden since it doesn't use a lot of water. Also space, if the farmer doesn't have a large space, he or she can make use of the vertical garden. The vertical garden is also good because it cooperates a lot of crops. You don't have to grow one crop. You can grow, that is greens, you can grow your hohos, you can grow dahlias, everything you can incorporate in that urban kitchen. Secondly, it is manageable. It is not something big. The farmer can be able to water it comfortably, and it doesn't take a lot of labor. It is labor intensive, yeah.
Tunaangalia jinsi kichaka kinachoweza kujidumu kukiwa na kiangazi ama nini, bado inabakia, inatoa mazao yao na imebakia ikiwa green wakati wote, na hiyo ujuzi tunauleta kwa masaba yetu, na hiyo ideas tunaikuza kwa saba ili ibakie kutoa mazao mengi throughout the year na ibakie green throughout the year. Ndio tupate mazao mingi kutoka kwa mashamba yetu. Tuliweza kupanda maharagwe na kwa hakika tumepanda na tumefuna. Pia tulipanda marenge, pumpkins. Na pumpkin nayo inakuwa inafanya mulching. Imefunika sababu msifu na imefanya mulching. Ile maji kidogo kidogo ilikuwa imebakia kwa sababu ikawa covered na hii marenge na ikaweza kufunika sababu msudi. Ndipo ile kitu ingine yote tulipanda kule ikapata maji kidogo ambayo imewezesha kukua na mpaka kufikia wakati wa kufuna. Malenge pia imekuwa kwa wingi sana. Ukiona hii kipande kidogo hapa tumepanda malenge kama 1000. Ukihesabu hivyo malenge ni ile chakula tunaweza kuweka kwa store ikae kwa muda mrefu kabla ya kuharibika.
Composting is one way of enriching our soil, building our soil, making our soil fertile.
With all that know-how on making a compost, now you are ready to know about the trees.
Forest garden basically takes care of 3 objectives, that is eradicating hunger, poverty, and revitalizing degraded soil, and again also taking care of the environment. The design is kind of the same thing we call like a map. We have a map. Like when one wants to build a house, draws a structure on how that house will be built. So you want to know where to put your cardboard, where to put your bed, where to put your cups, how to walk along the house in the corridors. This is the kind of design we use, a kind of a map, to guide the farmer as a blueprint to arrange the farm. So that at one place you have a place you're growing vegetables, another part you're growing perennials, another part you're growing your trees, you have another section where you have your cows, where you live in. So that kind of a pattern will allow you work in a sequence that every time there is something that you're harvesting and there is something you're eating, there's something you're selling.
We are going on a short commercial break. When we return,
so what we do
we will
in the
hear it from
designing,
the farmers.
the first thing we do